Good evening, Seeking Novices. This is the second lecture by Black Pope Vice, and I know you guys are really excited about wanting to learn more about polytheism versus monotheism and the golden and black solar symbols, but my problem with making that video right now as opposed to later is there's a passage in the Vedas, my copy of the Vedas I have, that I can't find about the number of gods, and I want to read it word for word rather than paraphrase it, because it doesn't really do it justice. But the essence of it has to do with that subject. So before then, I'm going to make a video about important books. Now, when I have my library back online, and I have 30 gigabytes of PDFs, and I think there's some audio files too, and some music, but it's like a third of it to a quarter of it is just occult books. And as far as I know, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, compilation of free occult PDFs in one place. And some of it's really, really rare, like K.H. Wells' stuff on runes. I've looked online, you can't find any books to buy. There was like one book and it had nothing to do with runes. So some of the books you can't find them anymore. They're out of print, and they're not just out of print. You can't even go to K.H. Wells' website to buy the books. Like he's got, if you go to his Web 1.0 website, he's selling chi generators. I haven't bought any. I have no idea what they really do, but that's what I saw years ago when I looked for K.H. Wells' books on runes. So I had to print out some PDFs, and I have some stuff, but he's got like rune yoga stuff. It's really cool stuff. So when my library gets back online, there'll be tons of books available. I'm going to just talk about physical books that I have. There's only one physical book I do not have that I really like to have. I just don't have it currently because I gave a copy away, my last copy away, but I'll buy another one, and you'll want to buy it. The book is called Our Name is Melancholy, by Leah Wendell. She is the leader of the Asriel Project. It's occult nonfiction. It's memoirs. The book's really good for bibliomancy, opening random pages up and ascertaining relevant information from that. Now, I make enchantments, military grade melee rods, geoengineering stuff. That book is so powerful, it just trumps anything I've ever come across, even the stuff I make. So you're going to want to get it, and I like to call it the final red pill, because it really gives insight into, like, what are the angels? What is the council? What is the purpose of stuff? How silly are really things? Because you kind of get an idea, it's clown world, but like how does the angels, the council, look at clown world? How do they participate in this, the matrix of whatever, a term I've come up with, and it's really good. You'll want it. It has little bits of esoteric knowledge in it, but it's largely, a woman talking about her experiences. But she's, as far as I'm concerned, she is the leading necromancer on the planet. Far more experienced than me. She's like in her 60s. she's like one of the hippie children, but she is not like them. She's cool as shit. She's very woke. She's pro-Trump. Not that it really matters to some of the more right-wing people who watch this, but just to give you an idea, she's not shit lib. Though she's not discriminatory. She's great. You're gonna love her. She's anti-PC culture. But in other ways, she's kind of, as far as I know from her Facebook page, and I've interacted with her before, and she's really cool, and she's gone out of her way of, like, when she's been banned, to find my Facebook account and be like, oh, let's be friends, on my alternative account. So she's really cool. Leah Wendell is really cool. And I'll repeat the name of the book. Our Name is Melancholy. Important. You should read it. It's some of the things she has to say is as important as some of the things Crowley had said about the Aeon of Horus. Moving on. So, while that book is an occult book, it's not really about rituals or techniques. She has a spell book. It's called the Necromantic Ritual Book. It is not for beginners. The initiatory ritual requires access to a freshly dead body. You sleep next to it and in the darkness with no people being able to disturb you. But, I mean, that's not easy for a lot of people to get access to. So, but she gives ideas about what is possible. Like, she talks about golems. She talks about, like, traveling through shadows. Things like that. So you really get an idea from the Necromantic Ritual book, like, how far out rituals can do. I have personally not done the initiatory ritual for it. But, I do other stuff with necromancy. Like, sometimes I'll hang out in rooms where people recently died and communicate with Azrael that way, the angel of death, as Leigh Wendell would call him. But that book isn't for beginners. Now, when it comes to beginning texts, what is important? There's a guy named Robert Bruce. Okay? Robert Bruce, like the Scottish king. Now, you want to start immediately begin doing energy work. Robert Bruce has a bunch of books. He has stuff about self-defense, astral dynamics. Everything you want about him is online in some way, in some form PDF. You want a physical copy, you'll read this once, you'll want to gift it away. It's got a lot of stuff. It's about energy work. I would not call this ritual. I would call this, best way to describe this is working out, like lifting weights, but with your electrical magnetic fields, with your auras, with your chakras. That's the best way I can describe this. So this is 100% vital. If you do want to do magic, you want to do energy work, you want to do these things, if you don't get into energy work, you're just fucking wasting your time. Just stop. If you don't do the energy work, if you don't learn how to do energy work, you're wasting your time with ritual. Unless if you have, some extraordinary gift already and you're like, a seeress or an oracle and you already come into it. If you're starting like most people, working with the basics, this is what you have to do. I have to read the stuff. So, the only thing I have to say about energy work is it's great. You've got some stuff about the chakras that are not in his earlier works. In his earlier work, New Energy Ways, I'll repeat it again, New Energy Ways, you can find PDFs online. He's got some more detailed stuff on limb work and finger work that's not really in the later volumes of stuff, the later editions of his work. But it doesn't have any chakra stuff. So, and this has some healing stuff too in it as well, like healing techniques, like imagining you have iron pincers, or a spray gun, or brilliant fluid, or energy needles. You know, all these different cool techniques. Get it? It's like $10. You want to start doing some healing. Now, the next book you want, this is when it comes to occult texts, you get all over the place with like the quality of like how is it for beginners, is it for more advanced? Like apparently Ebola is much more advanced. I've only read a little bit of Ebola. But Magical Ritual Methods by William Gray is the closest thing to a comprehensive textbook out there. And there's a lot of things that William Gray talks about in this book that even if it's just a sentence or two long, I haven't seen anyone else talk about. But it fits so well within the paradigm of synchronic information that has been given to me. Like, for instance, he'll briefly talk about cosmic versus chaos. What is cosmic? What is chaos? So, we are cosmic beings. We are ordered beings. The devil is an ordered being. Eris is not an ordered being. Cosmic versus chaos does not have anything to do with good or evil, light or dark, benevolent, malevolent. It's not that paradigm. However, chaos is antithetical. It is the opposite of our cosmic nature. So when cosmic entities, humans, interact with chaos intelligences, which you probably interact with chaos intelligences every day. You're probably watching this video on your smartphone. All machines produce chaos intelligence. Yes. So chaos intelligences are inherently destructive on our ordered electrical systems. That doesn't mean they're evil, but they desire like an instant chemical reaction. So when you do chaos magic with chaos intelligences, you have to be careful because it will eat away at your sanity. And he alludes to that shortly, just very briefly in this, just very, very briefly. But William Gray is right-hand path, so he talks about angels and stuff. Doesn't really go into great detail about it. He really tries to be secular and talking about any sort of pantheon or paradigm. He's at the theory of things, and it's really, really good. I have a second copy of the book. It's more psychedelic, but this is really a good book. You have to have it. Now, I don't like to promote atheists, but I don't have a copy of the book, but it's called Real Magic by something, I think it's Isaac Bonewits. It's called Real Magic by Isaac Bonewits, and he has a degree from Berkeley in Thaumaturgy. How did he get a degree from Berkeley? A bachelor's in Thaumaturgy from Berkeley. Well, back in the day, in the 70s, you were able to create your own bachelor's program. My dad did this with some accounting bullshit. But Bonewits broke into the office and he changed his diploma. So he's the only person who has a degree from Berkeley or anywhere in the world, a 4-year degree in magic. So, but he's an atheist, and he has some very, very interesting ideas, grand ideas about like how to explain the incarnation stuff. So it's really theory, not anything applied, but Real Magic has some really interesting perspectives that are very, very grounded in comparison to other magic books. And he's an atheist. It's good stuff. I recommend getting Real Magic by Bonewits, because it has theories about, like, for instance, how reincarnation works. His explanation is that human brains produce a cloud, like cloud computing, and that's how reincarnation works. Is our brain is constantly inputting all the information all the experiences that ever exist. Like the humans have access to all this metadata, and we're constantly inputting and outputting information. and he's got other things, like he talks about poltergeists, about how society knows a lot more about poltergeists from a very mainstream perspective than anyone really lets on. Like when they talk about it on TV, it's usually caused by sexually frustrated teenagers. And they started figuring this out in the Victorian age. So there's actually it's very interesting, his book, because there's a lot more stuff out there in mainstream society and accessible knowledge. It's not in the occult books or whatever that talks about ghosts and poltergeists and things like that. So yeah, poltergeist is not really a ghost or a spirit. It's actually psychic trauma caused by humans. What book do I want to recommend next? So there's a Hindu guy, the guy who founded the Hare Krishna Society. His name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but he's the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He's got a lot of really good books. He's like 80 published works. Get the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It talks about a lot of subjects. It has great commentary. It's good for bibliomancy. That's how I decided that I wanted to do more with being a witch doctor. I opened it one day and I was like, I should become rich and open a hospital. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to heal people. So, it's got a lot of stuff. He's got, a book. I haven't read this one, but I was gifted to by Hare Krishnas. It's called The Coming Back, The Science of Reincarnation. Hindus really have fucking gamed the whole reincarnation science. And as far as I know, there's really nothing necromancers have anything on these people. So, they've got stuff down. Recommend his books. The Vedas. Now, the Vedas are great because it is a collection of, it's a very comprehensive text. It's a collection of spells. It's a collection of essays. It's self-aware. Like, for instance, I just randomly opened a passage, and it's about creation, and it's very detailed. And then the paraphrase, what comes back next, the last two paragraphs says, "No man knows, and no man can tell how creation began. Men are ignorant of who performed the act of creation. Even the learned ones were born only after creation started. How can oneself say how one was created? No one is learned enough to know about all the creation. How does one know who bore all that was created? The learned ones only know that the Pratamana, the Creator, resides above, and even that knowledge is probably suspect." Like, this is one of the most authoritative texts in Hinduism, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek about knowledge. And there's another passage. It's called the Frog Song. Yes, the Frog Song. I'm looking for it now. The Frog Song. The Frog Song, I'm reading the commentary in this book. This is not the comprehensive Vedas. The Vedas are a very big text, but this is supposed to be the like a compilation of more important passages. Frog Song, the commentary says, "What is remarkable about this sukkat is the element of satire in the comparison of the priests to the frogs." So, like, it's more of, though I have heard the Old Testament has elements of satire in it. The people who compiled the essays and spells and this stuff, they're self-aware of stuff, and you might want to use the specific spells and incantations in this book for your magic, but I would say if you're not into that because you want to create your own paradigm, just look at this book, get an idea of what the spells look like, the incantations look like, because when you combine that with the theory and magical ritual methods with what other people have been doing, priests have been doing for centuries and centuries in India, these are timeless. Like people say these are beyond time. I don't know what to say about that, but if you watch enough of me, you're going to get to the idea that you can't trust history. It's just garbage. So these are timeless. They give a really good idea. Now, back into more practical stuff. For what I practice on a daily basis. So I have a big crystal book. It's big. It's called Love is in the Earth by Melody. Now, this is the final compilation. It's got pictures and stuff. This was $100. The Love is in the Earth is out of print. But there's multiple editions of it. You can buy cheaper versions, cheaper older editions of this, but you'll want this. I've had multiple crystal people recommend to me that this book is the best book, and I think she engraves her crystals with rune stabs. So there's a lot of books on runes. I like Edrin Thorson. He's also known as Stephen Flowers. Some guy said to me, "Oh, that guy has ties to Satanism," and I'm like, okay, I'm not into Satanism, but he has a lot of stuff, and some people take Edrin Thorson or Stephen Flowers, who are pagans, very seriously. I just like his, it's not so much I'm into his theory, because I'm not into classical Norse theory, but when it comes to classical Norse practices and stuff, he's very exhaustive. He's got tons of books. If you really want to become a rune user like myself, I use the runes. He's got a ritual guide for educational course. It's called The 9 Doors in Midgard. And I can't remember if it's by Edrin Thorson or Stephen Flowers, but it's The 9 Doors of Midgard. It's actually a lot cheaper than it used to be. I paid for it when it was like $70 or something. Now I think it's like $25. But it's a curriculum, and he's got a lot of books. Stephen Flowers and Edrin Thorson, this is 2 different names. But yeah, I'm not into classical runic theory. I just like the rune stabs and their meanings. To give you an example of how I'm not into classical rune theory, I don't stain the runes with my blood, ever. I've never done it. I accidentally didn't start doing that, and I was always getting results, and I was like, I don't think it's going to be good to start staining them all of a sudden. It would take too much time for how fast I am at making runes these days, painting them, carving them on crystals and stuff. And that works fine. You'll have to come to figure out if you need to stain the runes with your blood. I think it's more of a gatekeeping thing than really what's necessary for the energetic equation to happen. That's my hypothesis on it. I'm sure there's plenty of people who stain with blood and say, oh, it's more necessary. I don't know. Is it because I have a special connection to Odin? Do I have a special connection to the runes, which are their own unique intelligences? Do I have some special bonus because I'm a necromancer, and that as a necromancer I have enough accumulated karma that when I eventually do become a skeleton wizard, a lich, me not having blood is going to be a problem, so for whatever reason that may be, I don't have to use blood. Who knows? But my point is that I don't have to use blood to get the runes to work for me on crystals or whatever. So, the other, I recommend this in the first book, the first lecture. It's Aurora Consurgens, a document attributed to Thomas Aquinas and the Problem of Opposites in Alchemy by Marie-Louise von Franz. It's a recipe for the Philosopher's Stone. It's all biblical passages, the treatise itself, and then the commentary. It's Jungian philosophy. The Philosopher's Stone is the psychological state of being. You know, I can't get more than that. You just have to fucking read it. So last two books. One of the things I'm really, really into, besides doing crystal work, which is kind of really, I mean, I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to do new groundbreaking work, short of sharing that with people. Like, I have information to share. I want to do open source. Knowledge. Not to say that I don't want to get commissions. I do want to get commissions. You still gotta pay bills. And I have to, the crystals themselves cost money. So, and so does the paint. But in terms of working with spirits, there's two books that I really recommend. Elves, Wights, and Trolls by Kevdunf Gardason. This book is no longer in print, and it's actually really expensive. I am in the process of uploading the contents to my Twitter account. I've only done, I think, the first 2 chapters. So, this is really good. It has a bunch of practical knowledge things in this. The other one, this is not out of print. It's called The Katapa Bao, A Study of Shamanistic Practices in Japan by Carmen Blacker. Now, I've looked for good books on Shintoism. I've been to the junior college. I went to a bookstore. They don't have anything good. The junior college had this book by chance. And I'm pretty sure it's because the Japanese are intentionally not allowing a lot of content to get published about Shintoism. I mean, I looked at the other books. They were fucking devoid of real content. This is not. This is good stuff. This has some good theories about the origins of Kamen, or Kami, or whatever, K-A-M-I, which is ambiguous energies that have personas that manifest all over the environment. And there's different theories about, are the Kamen just the dead, or is it something else? And that's very similar to what pre-Druidic UK Islanders believe in. And from my experimentations, there is some truth to the idea that when a human dies, it releases all this energy that kind of breaks down like radioactive decay and forms these other things. But that is really it with terms of the books. I'm going to upload my library soon, and there's 2 YouTube accounts I recommend. One's on astrology, one's just about generic magic stuff. Frederick Xavier, that's the magic stuff, and the astrology is Sarah on Tarot. I'm going to link both of their YouTube accounts in the description. I gotta go. Good night, y'all.